listeners. This is F. Molina, and I got with me as a co-host, Chris Cavazos. How you doing, Chris?
Hello, everybody. Good, Ef'n. How are you doing, man?
Doing good, man. So today we are joined with Bubba Palacios. How are you doing?
Good. How y'all doing, guys? Thank you for letting me come into your show today.
I guess the first question that we have, Bubba, is how did you get the name Bubba?
A funny little story there. I was right now I'm actually about 250 pounds, about 5'10", and that's the height and weight that was in my 5th grade year. So I had a growth spur. So when I was in 5th grade, our coach Bella, who was our head coach for North Junior High, saw me walking from elementary to my house and stopped real quick and asked my dad, "Would we be good friends?" They were good friends. And how about Bubba? How about Ruben? Can he play? Well, he's gonna play. So he chose me to go play from 5th grade. In 5th grade, he chose me to play 6th grade ball. So he just gave me the name Bubba after that, and it stuck to me for the rest of my life.
When you mentioned Coach Vela, right? For some people might not know who. I mean, a lot of people hear the name Coach Vela and it's like, whoa, great coach.
Great coach.
Who is he?
Great coach, Robert Vela, one of the best coaches we had here in Edinburgh. Coach for Edinburgh High School, also the Bobcats. He coached the Bobcats. He came out of North Junior High as the athletic director there when I was in junior high, and tremendous mentor. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better coach in my life, and through my junior high and freshman year, and then even in high school, he still was mentoring in high school for me. So can't say anything better, many bad things about Coach Vela. It's always good things about him. You always hear good things about him.
You are currently running for a city commission seat for the City of Edinburgh, right?
Correct. I'm running for Edinburgh City Place number 2, City Councilman Place number 2. When I decided to run for this position.
And how long have you lived in the City of Edinburgh?
Well, been all my life. I've done everything here in Edinburgh. My businesses. I've been with the community baseball, director, umpire. Done so much for here in the community with all my life. I'm 56 years old and I've never seen anything other than Edinburgh, Texas.
Bubba, real quick, I know you mentioned a little bit about, being a football player, starting off very young and playing 6th grade ball. And speaking with you, privately, you discussed that you were part of the 1984 championship team, I think it was.
Yes, sir. We were. When 84 was one of our proudest years. We went almost undefeated all the way to regional finalists. So we had a great team. 82, 83, 84 was one of the best years, and that was in my high school year that we were playing together, and so it was Edinburgh Bobcats was one of the strongest teams then, and wonderful year. 84 was my year that I graduated. It was 83 season and 84 when I graduated, but 83 season was one of the strongest seasons we had.
And I know, I guess 84 would also be the year of your senior prom, and I think we have some pictures of you and your wife, right? You guys have been together for many years.
Yes, we're looking through the pictures. My wife and I trying to find some pictures to look at. And we saw our homecoming picture, basically her homecoming picture and her prom night, and the prior year was her junior prom. So we had pictures of that, and we started seeing, and we actually got 34 years of marriage. We were funny. My wife and I, we met just out of we call it's a funny story because there was a funeral for one of our workers or that worked for us in the fields for many years, and I saw her from a distance, and guess what? Their story says that 34 years later, we're still together.
Oh wow! And how many children do you have?
We have 3 children. We have my son, who's 30 years old. My daughter, Ruben. Robin is 27, and my daughter Raven, my baby, which is 23 years old. and then I have 2 grandkids. I have 2 grandboys, and I'm expecting my son is having his first daughter, his baby, which would be my first granddaughter, and they live in San Antonio. So he's also done. I just want to say I'm very proud about my son. He's done a lot on his own, and he's now become a teacher for special ed in San Antonio. He's teaching with Judson ISD. His wife works for State Rep Ray Lopez out of San Antonio. So it's they've done it on their own, and now they've taken my baby under their wing, also my baby girl, and she's over there living with him. So, props to my son. He's a wonderful kid. He's done such great on his own.
So your son works for Converse of Judson?
Converse Judson ISD.
So you play for Edinburgh back in '84. And now your son works for one of the most dominating high school football districts in the state of Texas?
Yes, and he's very proud of it. He's very proud of telling me that every time I go out to visit him, he's proud of telling me, I'm working for Judson, Dad. I said, well, I know you are, son. We'll defeat him one day.
What kind of businesses do you have?
I'm in the insurance business. I am a 10-year licensed insurance in the insurance business. A little insurance business right here off of Klausner, and First Choice Insurance. And then I still do a lot of, I would say, work, more like, I guess, different types of work. I do construction also. I work for a developing company out of McAllen. You could say I'm a truck driver. You can say I'm a trades of many, masters of none.
I understand. I'm the same way. And I know in researching you that one of your issues is infrastructure within the city. What would you like to change, or what would you like to modify with infrastructure, or what's your focus with that?
My focus is industrial and commercial businesses. We run a city where we have 18 miles of highway still going northbound, and we still haven't had any real commercial. Me being in the logistics world too, being a truck driver, I drive down East Coast and I saw these little towns that had maybe 5,000 people in it, with a Toyota factory in it, with a recycling factory in it, having most of their people working out of there. And my question was always, why couldn't we have that here in the Valley? Why is it that we're missing? Where are we missing that? And my biggest deal is just trying to get investors to come into the city of Edinburgh. I mean, we need it. We need our industrial park to come alive. We need our airport to become logistical for all these industrial companies. We're still about 10, 15 miles away from the border. So it's going to be hard for us to get our industrial park going, but we got a way. We got a way to give them logistics. We got an airport that we can create into a cargo. So there's so many stuff but that's my biggest point. Infrastructure regarding bringing business, and what happens when you bring more business, you're able to bring your taxes down. And that's what's hurting the most here in Edinburgh is taxes, on your property taxes, your house. I mean, it goes up every year. We get it every year, a hit, and it's one of the hardest things here in Edinburgh. And especially with the pay rates and stuff that we have here, it's something that we really need to look at closely to help our people, our community.
Yeah, I think that's something that we're seeing with Cameron County, how they're bringing in like SpaceX, and they're poised for this big development. And then when you look at the cities here, you're like, well, what are we doing to bring in a middle class, to bring these professional jobs in?
Correct. We're and that's, like I said, we're so far the only city that can grow in industrial. We're the only city that has this highway north. We got to take advantage of that, or we're going to lose out. We're going to keep on losing out to Brownsville. We're going to keep on losing out to Harlingen. When we can do it and give, do more for our community.
And was there one thing that you saw that you experience that you said, you know what, it's time for me to run? Because I mean, I would think running for a political like office right now, you know, most people like wouldn't want to do it because there's a lot of criticism like on government and on the pandemic and how everything's going. Was there one moment that you just said, that's it, I'm running?
You know that back when in the 90s and late 80s, 90s, I formed a league here, a baseball league here in Edinburgh, and I took over a league that was having issues with it, and I went from having 400 kids playing in that league to having 1,500 kids. I had over 3,000 parents. I had so much reason to run then, but I was only 20 in my 20s, 30 years old. You know what? I didn't have the maturity. I didn't know exactly and see what exactly Edinburgh was doing and not doing. I paid no attention to it really, but I had a lot of people asking me, hey, Bubba, you should run for city commission. You should run back then. But back then, I didn't think I had the maturity. Now, what's made the difference is I'm matured enough now. I've seen it all. Our businesses, being in the business world, being what the potential of what FAR is doing, what Ollie McAllen, what they're doing and we're not, is really what got me to think it's time for us to move this city forward. You know, another thing was the taxes. Again, I go back to taxes because it made a decision for me to come and help bring this industrial to lower our taxes. We have to lower our taxes, or we're going to keep on having people lose their homes, people move away to other cities that are cheaper on taxes. And then the other thing is, we're building apartment complexes. What are we going to do? What are we going to be? Are we looking to become rent a center in Edinburgh, rent here and go live in McAllen? You know, for work you rent and you go live. No, you know what? To me, it's a beautiful. Edinburgh's a beautiful city to live in. Let's make it into what it's supposed to be, and not let our people leave from here. Make them live here.
And Bubba, that's the one thing. Actually, I live in Edinburgh. I live over here on Chapin, near UTRGV. I live like a block away, and around this area, there's a tremendous boom of apartment complexes, which I see as like kind of you see is that they could hurt my property values. I don't know about drainage, etc., traffic. That's the one thing I'm really worried about is when these apartment complexes come up, they haven't expanded the roads. We're adding 500 units and not expanding any roads. Is that something you would focus on?
Yes, and you see it on Monmac. You know, they built those apartments right next to it. Subdivision, the 7th division went underwater.
Yeah, my uncle lives there.
You know, so you know that's what people don't see. That we're an old city also. Our streets are old. Our sewer system's old. If we're gonna put 5 subdivisions down Canton, we better be ready to do a whole new sewer line, new water line, because we're gonna have issues. We're gonna have serious issues, and we're having them right now for that reason, because they're not studying this before they start allowing you to put all these apartment complexes. And to me, like I said, I don't have an issue with running apartments. They're good, but you know, it doesn't. I don't see it makes my city look like it's supposed to. Like I'm homey, you know, a homey city. It's more like they're coming in, staying there for the week, and going back home. You know, and that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for when I get an industrial company coming here. I want their people to want to live in Edinburgh. I want them here in Edinburgh because that's the only way we're going to get our money back. Actually, by those people, those 300-400 jobs staying here, living here, eating here, and shopping here. That's the only way we're going to get our money back.
And I think that's one thing I know a lot of people commute, you know, for the courthouse. As attorneys, you know, we deal with people from across the valley. You know, a lot of people don't reside in Edinburgh. They work in Edinburgh, but go home to Westlaco, go home to McAllen.
Exactly.
And so I think we need is more maybe higher end. Is that what you're trying to do? Like higher end homes, better subdivisions?
Wait, Chris, I know what you're asking them. You're asking them past 6 o'clock, Edinburgh becomes like a ghost town, right? Like
Correct.
Where do you hang out? Where are the events? That's what you're asking them, right, Chris?
Pretty much. I mean, which is good. Don't get me wrong. I like the weekend that it's slow because I can go to, to a restaurant and it's quiet. But for the restaurant, they need income Monday through Sunday,
And let it be a choice. Let it be a choice, not a have to. Not I have to go to McCann to enjoy a high-end restaurant. Let it be a choice. At least I have something here in Edinburgh to offer in Edinburgh, and that's you're exactly right. I'm looking for a high-end subdivision, high-end house. We've got just recently. I believe that Edinburgh came in agreement with Driscoll, Sugar Driscoll Hospital, on 50 million. There were DHRs putting in 50 million Driscoll, and I believe that the City of Edinburgh is putting 10. And I was hearing this meeting, and it was awesome, great. But the only thing I heard on our side favored us was potential. The potential of those 400 new employees living in Edinburgh. That's where we might see our money back. Well, that's not what I'm looking for. I was looking for more like a guarantee, because if you want us to give you $10 million back or $20 million back to help you on your taxes, hey, guarantee me that you're going to live, your 400 guys, your 400 employees, your doctors are going to build their homes here to help us out. I mean, that's the only way we're going to see our money turn around. We ain't going to see if they're going to go, if that individual doctor is going to go build a high-end subdivision in McAllen. What is that going to help me? So that's what I'm trying to get to.
Ask you, Bubba, when people come on to our show, we usually ask them the tough questions, the questions people really want to know, okay? So let me ask you this, Bubba. What is your favorite place to eat in the Rio Grande Valley? I mean, mind you, sometimes when you throw out the wrong restaurant, it might cost you some votes. So answer this one very carefully.
You know what? I'm a real mom and pop restaurant, and there's a little restaurant here called La Jolla restaurant. Love the enchiladas. I think they got one of the best enchilada plates ever, and I love enchiladas. So I'm kind of a mom and pop. I don't really have some high fancy one. So I would say La Jolla is pretty one of my number one restaurants that my wife and I tend to hit quite a bit.
They have very good caldo de pollo. Very good.
And you see, Bubba, I knew me and Chris were going to like you as a candidate, because if you would have said, lobster and caviar, we probably would have ended this interview right now. But enchiladas, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I was doing my research on you, and I saw that you had lost a lot of weight doing Shape Up Edinburgh or something like that.
Yeah.
Shakes, teas. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, actually, let me tell you a little bit of story of that one. I was a couple of years back. I ended up starting on Herbalife. It's a nutrition center here in Edinburgh. I used to always know about Herbalife, so I took Herbalife. I took the product, but I never took it serious. But one year I got so sick, I ended up in the hospital, and I told myself, you know what, I'm never get serious about this. I went back, talked to one of my coaches, which is Marifer, and tremendous lady. She's a very wonderful lady. She coached me to how to stay on my diet, how to take my shakes and walking. And through that, I lost 100 pounds. I controlled my diabetes. I controlled my high blood pressure. I controlled everything that was wrong with me. Today, I get my blood work done every 3 months, and my wife checks it. And they're so surprised that my cholesterol levels are 100. Everything is so even. But it took me to get serious about my health, and I wasn't too serious about it then. Now lately, it's been. And this is why if you see my whole pages is about nutrition and walking, and I do a whole bunch of jogging. I'll go visit the nutrition places because I tend to lean a lot to stay healthy. And I mean, I've been there.
I do want to shout out Rudy Moreno. I asked him some questions before I was going to speak with you. And so he gave me some tips on asking you questions about your weight loss and everything like that. So
yeah, and that's cheating, Bubba. Usually we do absolutely no research whatsoever. So we just go in cold. So Chris cheated.
The question you got to ask yourself: you trust the guy with the weird glasses or the guy in the suit and tie?
It's unfair to you, Bubba, and I want to apologize. In line with our tough questioning, Bubba, I gotta like ask you, that one question that's very telling of an individual. What is your favorite movie, and why?
I like action movies. I like comedy movies. So basically, if you get me in front of a comedy or an action movie, I'm sitting there for the whole movie. But that's, if I could pinpoint one, just weighing on the quotes, would be probably Doc Holliday and White Herb. I'm trying Tombstone.
The one with Val Kilmer?
Yeah, Tombstone. That'd probably be my favorite because there's so too many quotes there that I love.
I didn't think you had it in you. I'm your huckleberry.
Now I learned what a huckleberry means. What he actually meant by that. Yeah.
Can we ask you? I don't even know what it means. What does it mean?
He actually meant that the bearing, he was actually, back then they would call the handle of the coffin. And the person that carried the coffin was a huckle, was called a huckle. So he told him, I'll be your huckleberry.
Right person for the job.
The right person for the job, to carry you to your grave.
To carry to your grave, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that's, I want to know what it really meant.
I always thought it meant a flower, but now I am enlightened today. They say you learn something new every day, and I'm just going to tuck that one away.
Yeah.
Bubba, I know you're running against Jason, is it De Leon?
Yes.
And Moises Segovia. I guess, can you say anything nice about those two guys? I don't know them personally. I've just met you today for the first time. I do know a little bit of your family, but I don't know them. What would something nice about those two guys be?
My first conversation with them was to bring them together, all three of us together, and talk about how I was going to run this race, and I was going to run it very respectful. I was not going to run a dirty race with anybody, talk bad about anybody. Now, Jason De Leon, young man, beautiful young man. His mom and dad, I've known them for, my mama passed away a year and a half ago, and they took care of my mama. They own Memorial Funeral Home. And like I said, I'll never talk bad about Jason at all, because they did a beautiful job with my mom. I did not know much about Moises, and I'm still trying to learn a little bit more of him, but he is, very respectful. Does not, comes by my events, and, we shake hands and take pictures, and he's a very respectful person, and always want to stay in line of doing the right thing. That's the way I see Moises also. Always want to stay in the right line, do the right thing. So there's nothing bad to talk about them. They're coming. They're young. They're got a lot to offer as young kids and young guys, young men like themselves. But I think I have the maturity over them. I think I know the business more. I think I've been here long enough in the city of Edinburgh, and the only thing is that I can say that I'm the only candidate that can say that I am from Edinburgh, born and raised in Edinburgh. And
I really appreciate that, because I think in this country right now, we're very divided on a bunch of issues. And it seems like, man, we have a lot of common ground. It's just our common ground is to improve everybody's lives, to make Edinburgh, in this case, a better place to live, a better place to raise your children, a better place to retire. So I appreciate that. I think we need more of that in politics today.
We need to stay humble. We've lost a lot of that humbleness from the years past, being that everybody's got through. But I mean, we forget Edinburgh's not that big. Yeah, we're 100,000, but we'll see each other at HEB, Walmarts, anywhere. So they need to understand, let's stay humble. Let's stay let's stay in our line and help each other. Let's move the city forward by helping each other, not by trying to talk bad about each other or trying to hold each other down.
Our last question, Bubba. A lot of political candidates, when they run for office or when they get into office, they usually have certain politicians that they look up to. With you running, is there any politician throughout the course of history that you look up to? And you can't say George Washington, because that's a safe answer. Anyone but George Washington.
No, and I'm not, and you know what? I'm not gonna use a politician very much because one person that was in my life quite a bit, and I was always out there helping him, and he basically helped our family get started in the political world, which is my uncle Nick Palacios. Wonderful man. He never forgot where he came from, how he got there. He always reminded me the people out there are the people that are gonna take you where you need to be, where you want to be. Don't ever forget that. And he was such a humble man at the position that he is and where he was. And of course he's passed away, but you know, he had his political friends, judges, and that he had backed up back in those years. Or stay. You talk to them today, and they're very humble.
And but when is the election? Just so we can make sure the people go out there and vote.
So our elections coming up. Our first earlier is October 18th. Is our 2 weeks early election, and then on November 2nd is the day of election. So hope you all can spread your word out there to come out and early voting time, because why wait till November 2nd? It's going to be a line that you won't want to wait on there. And please also, if you get a chance, like my Facebook, and let's get people to register to vote. We're going to try to do some events coming pretty soon on registering some people, bring in a third party to register for more people to vote. So we're trying so many things. And also, guys, if you have out there your public needs yard signs, my number is 956-776-8287. They're welcome to call me. I answer my call directly and send me a text, or call me and send me, they need my signs, want my signs, I'll gladly go out there and put it down myself.
Well, Bubba, thank you for your time, and really thank you for running. I mean, it's hard to have good people run, because most good people are like, well, I really don't want to do this. I want to spend more time like doing like other things, like fishing. Like you could do a host of other things instead of public service, and you're deciding to put yourself out there and try to get elected and help the community. So me and Chris, we really admire that about you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And every support that you all give me means a lot to me. And like I said, it was great talking to you all, and I hope you all do learn and accept more about me and talk and do more. Welcome to do more research on me, Chris, if you want. And you can do all the research. But guys, I'm who I am.